Hi there. I am Dr. Evan Gwilliam. I'm the Senior Vice President at Practice Inc., and I'm a Certified Professional Compliance Officer, among other things. You are watching this video because you are working on your OIG compliance plan. And as such, we suggest that you become familiar with at least 5 big federal laws that are core to OIG, or Office of the Inspector General compliance. The first of those 5 is the False Claims Act. And in this video, we will explain to you what you need to be aware of as a healthcare provider to stay compliant with this particular law. Healthcare fraud is a serious problem. It's estimated that fraud, waste, and abuse cost taxpayers $30 to $100 billion a year. Aside from the money lost, patients might be exposed to unnecessary services, and then that money is no longer available for legitimate care for others. Fraud is defined as obtaining something of value through intentional misrepresentation or concealment of material facts. Waste is incurring unnecessary costs as a result of deficient management systems or controls, and abuse is excessively or improperly using government resources for things like unnecessary care or having excessive prices. An example might be billing for chiropractic manipulative treatment when the patient wasn't even in the office that day. That's fraud. Or billing Medicare for maintenance visits as if they were active care. That's abuse. The government has asked healthcare providers and their teams to partner in preventing fraud, waste, and abuse. The False Claims Act makes it illegal to submit false claims or fraudulent claims for payment to Medicare or Medicaid. The claim would be considered false if the service wasn't actually rendered, or was already paid, or miscoded, or not supported by the record. For violations, the fine is up to 3 times the amount lost, plus $11,000 per claim. So it adds up pretty quick. The way the rule is written, it doesn't matter if you intended to defraud the government. If you hide your head in the sand and complain that you just didn't know the rules, you're still liable. And there's also a whistleblower provision so that anyone can report the violation and they can be entitled to a portion of the recovery money. And this is all just part of the civil law. There are criminal penalties possibly too, which could include more fines and imprisonment. And if all that doesn't motivate you to take a closer look at this law, then you ought to know that the Office of the Inspector General has laid out guidelines that state that you need to have an explicitly documented policy and procedure in place to make sure your clinic is compliant with the False Claims Act. So what can you do to show you're a good law-abiding chiropractor? 1, conduct and document regular billing and coding reviews to make sure that you're not breaking any rules. And you can hire a consultant to do that, or it can be done internally, but it needs to be documented either way. 2, if you find a mistake, then you pay the money back within 60 days. Every office should have an OIG compliance manual that has things like this written into the policy and procedures section. But that's only the first step. The second is that providers must actually do what they write about in the manual. It's actually not that hard to stay compliant with the False Claims Act, and it can actually save the clinic money by avoiding the consequences of a mistake. So that is the first law that you should be aware of in considering your OIG compliance, the False Claims Act.